When the Earth was new, there was only one continent. There's a star constellation where there is a passageway in the middle of that constellation. This passageway leads to another part of the universe. This thing came out of there, and then it flew through that constellation, and it came to the Earth, and it put certain things under the Earth. Now we have this organization called Wakantanka. The Christians translate that to mean God. We went through a Christian brainwashing. Part of that process included changing the definition of certain words into a Christian definition. So today, most Indian people think that Wakantanka means God, but it doesn't. It's an organization consisting of males, females. One has no gender, it's androgynous, and the other one has both genders. It's kind of like a hermaphrodite. So you have these people that are in this organization. They went into the Earth, and from this material, they created millions of creatures called Pte Oyate. Now again, today a lot of people mistranslate that. They think that Pte Oyate means Buffalo Nation. No, it does not. Ptech Chaka is buffalo. Tchatchanka is a buffalo bull. So Tchatchanka does not mean buffalo, it means a buffalo bull. It's specific. But Pte is a being that looks human, but it's not. It's not animal either, though. It looks human, but it's not. They're called Pte Oyate. Some of this Pte group came on the surface of the Earth, and they got in trouble. They were tricked by a trickster named Iktomi, and the result was they became the food for the wolves. The wolves entered a contract with Iktomi, promising that they will be his assistants and helpers if he brings them food, because at that time the wolves were about ready to go extinct. And so Iktomi took advantage of that. And he says, I can give you a good food. It really tastes good, and you drink its blood, it's going to taste so good it's going to make you crazy. You're going to want more and more and more. It tastes so good that even when you're full, you want to eat more. That's what he said to them. So they were meeting someplace. Iktomi said, stay right here. I'm going to bring your food to you so you can have a feast. That's when the first Pte group came on the Earth. And Iktomi greeted them and he said, come, come. There's a feast for you. He said. So the people were all happy. So they followed Iktomi too. But they didn't know it was Iktomi, because he was disguised as a really nice person. So they followed him into this big clearing in the Black Hills. And Iktomi said, just wait right here. And so he went, and then the wolves came in. They circled all the humans. There were thousands of humans that were there. And most of them were killed and eaten by the wolves, because what Iktomi said was true to the wolves, that human blood just drives them crazy. Really tastes good to them. See, the first Pte people, when they came on the Earth, they became human. So they're no longer called Pte Oyate, now they're called Ikche Oyate, a human nation. That when they come on the surface of the Earth, that's when they transformed into human. Pte looks like a human, but it's not. It's not an animal either. So when they come on the Earth, They become human and they're tricked by Iktomi to go into this clearing where they are attacked by wolves waiting for them, and most of them were killed. There was just a handful that survived. So the leader of the Pte Oyate that were still under the ground, he had a dream, a vision, that the first group that went was in trouble. So he said, we have to go help them. They all agreed. So when this second group left that area under the ground, they came out of a place called Wind Cave in the Black Hills. And the second group transforms too. But only thing is, the second group of Pte Oyate transform into what is today buffalo. So there, that second group of Pte Oyate, they transformed into buffalo. And now that second group was called Ptechchaka-Oyate. That is the Buffalo Nation. So when the humans are taught by vision how to kill the buffalo, and that when they take one, it does not belong to the hunter, it belongs to the people, so that everybody's fed. It's really a community way. So traditional hunting is like they have a funeral before the animal is shot and after the animal is shot. This is the second half of this funeral. They apologize to the Buffalo Nation. Humans made a promise. They would say, we promise to use this buffalo for everybody, that everybody will eat, and whoever needs new clothes, they will get it from the buffalo leather, buffalo robes and such. So they gave thanks, and they apologized to the Buffalo Nation, and they gave something in return to the Buffalo Nation. It's a very serious thing to hunt an animal, that you use it, as much of it as you can. And it's not just for you, it's for the people. You give thanks, you apologize, and you promise to that animal nation that everybody will be fed, and that whoever needs clothes will get clothes from the leather. You see that community thing, thinking like that. So the second group came out from under the earth. They're called Ptechchaka, and they had chased away the wolves that were chasing the humans. The buffalo are very intelligent. It's really interesting. I've seen film footage of where a buffalo died. I think it was just really old. It just fell to the ground and it was over. Immediately the wolves surrounded. But there were 4 buffalo bulls that chased them off, and they surrounded their relative who was on the ground, and they faced outwardly, keeping an eye if any more wolves are going to come. So they chase away the wolves like that. The humans and the buffalo evolve from the same species called Pte Oyate. This is why we associate with the buffalo. And when we saw the buffalo organizing, it was amazing. And what they organized into worked. It was a beautiful thing. There was no one leader over everybody. It was a council. It was a group of old buffalo that were leading. It wasn't just one leader. Lakota people, when they were observing the buffalo, they realized, gee, these guys are really smart. They're organizing into a community thinking society. So the Lakota people adapted that too, because we're relatives with the buffalo. So we adapted that same organization that the buffalo have, because it works. And that's Tiospaye. T is to dwell, and Ospaye is like a group of people. Most of them are related to each other, but there's going to be some that are not related, but they share something in common. So this is why they travel together. So Tiospaye, everybody's talents are taken into consideration. Older people with the same talent are helping younger people to develop that talent so that they can all contribute to the success of their group. So as soon as you can start remembering, you see all around you the community perspective. People helping one another because they want to. Everybody's fed. Everybody has a home. Everybody is loved. In the Tiospaye system, your mother and her sisters are all your mothers. And the husbands of these women are all your fathers. And the children from these marriages are your brothers and sisters. Your mother's brother is your uncle. And their wives are your aunts. And their children are your cousins. Now that's your mother's side, okay? Your father's side, it's your father and his brothers are your other fathers. And all the wives of these men are your other mothers. And the children of those marriages are all your other brothers and sisters. And your father's sister is your auntie. And their husbands are your other uncles. And their children are your cousins. This is the basic structure of a Tiospaye. And so from a very young age you realize that all the mothers are just as important as your biological mother. And they all can raise you, or they can all teach you something if you messed up. So it's not just your biological mother and father that will do this. It's your other mothers and fathers. They are all equally important. So you grew up loved. And you grew up witnessing every day the community thinking perspective. This comes from the Buffalo people. And then you soon learn that the Buffalo represents healthiness, balance. When Buffalo organized themselves, there was no one leader. Same way with Lakota ancestors. You see that from a very young age, the community perspective. That's all you see. That's what you know. And it works. You witness it, that it works. So all mothers are just as important as your biological mother. And all fathers are just as important as your biological father. So you're loved by a lot of adults. But you can be punished by any one of these adults, and it's acceptable. Because they're all your relatives in the Tiospaye way of thinking. This is what we got from the Buffalo people. This is how they organized. They cooperated with one another. There was not one supreme leader. There was no meditation. Intimidation. They didn't intimidate each other. They worked as a unit. Our ancient society is this way. So we were mirroring the Buffalo people. So, when the humans were hiding from the wolves after that initial attack, they were trying not to let the wolves find them. And just then the buffalo came. And they chased off the wolves. They just ran over them. The wolf organization has a one leader, the leader of the pack. And when any younger wolf, male wolf, tries to overthrow him, challenges him. And the old wolves are usually still tough, so they put the young males to shame. But see, there's intimidation going on. And whereas the buffalo represents a community perspective, which is actually a healthy perspective because it works. So children, their talents are identified as they get older. Adults who have the same talent then take that child into their society, because there's many different societies in the camp. when it comes to learning, youngsters with the same talent meet together with older people who also have that same talent. And the older people are helping the younger people to get comfortable with their talent, whatever it is, and to start developing it, to use it to help the people. And you see how it makes them feel good, you feel good, and you're not selfish about it. That's the community thinking perspective. You see it from the day you can remember. Everything serves somebody in the group. It's not just the person, one person. It's always going to be others involved too, because they're all supporting each other. So people have talents, and as soon as they're recognized, older people with the same talent take those children and teach them how to use it. And this contributes to the success of their group. They think as a group, whereas the wolves follow the leader. So in this story, as the humans were hiding, wolves were standing around this cave. So the buffalo charged into them and killed most of the wolves. From this, we learn that the wolves have a one leader concept, and that he maintains his position through intimidation. So if any younger wolves try to challenge him, he puts them in their place. That's intimidation. This is not peace. But that's the way that animal is. But with buffalo, they work together as a community, and that's how our ancestors were. They were mirroring that. There's such a close connection with the buffalo that what happens to them happens to us, and what happens to us happens to them as well. So we have to look out for one another. So thanks to the buffalo, the humans did not go extinct in the beginning of this planet. So I described what Tiospaye was. From a young child, you see others making things for other people to use. And it's nice. The interaction between them is really nice. It encourages them to call each other relatives, kinship terms. Even though sometimes they may not be related, they still use the kinship terms. Because this is all part of this community thinking perspective. This is all part of working together. It shows that every person is important in this group because of their talents, whatever it is. It contributes to the success of that group. That is a community thinking perspective. And it's healthy because there's no one leader, there's no intimidation, but there's protection, there's compassion, there's love for each other. So the way this Tiospaye is set up is that there's certain people who are really good at hunting, there's certain ones who are really good with agricultural things, there's some who are really good in other things, and they all do their thing to contribute to this community thinking lifestyle. It feels nice to help people, and it's nice to see them smile. And they'll remember that, so they will help others too. It's all a community thinking perspective. Every person has a talent, and that's identified and then it's developed. That's nice. That's how it used to be. That's the ancient way. So, really getting good at your talent, you're really making a contribution to your society. It's success. You see that all the time. It's all you know is this community thinking perspective. That's our way. And selfish people, people who oppress, would be following the wolf. So To break this current dualistic reality that we're all trapped in, to break that means changing the way you think. You have to reprogram yourself so that you know how unhealthy the duality is and you know what works for everyone. So the whole Tiospaye is organized in a way where everybody benefits, where everybody has food, where everybody has clothes, where everybody has a place to sleep for the night. And they all address each other as relatives. All of this adds up to really feeling good to be a part of such an organization. And people who are dualistic just absolutely can't stand it. So, to break the duality, we have to think like the buffalo. And we will find a way. We can set up a community where there's a certain part of the area is spiritual, another part is focusing on emotional well-being. So in this community way of thinking, you learn that ever since you can remember, it's all you know. And this actually can balance out mental illness because they're emotionally healthy in the Tiospaye. A Tiospaye, you're healthy in all four parts of the self. With wolves, it's a duality. They maintain their organization through intimidation. The way to beat it is to go to a Tiospaye way of living, because you are growing in emotional intelligence, which means you can comprehend more, and then you can teach others. Whatever your talent is, you can teach that. So everybody is fed, everybody has a home, everybody is having clothes. Nobody goes without. Nobody's better than the other. In fact, what it's about is how much can you contribute with your talent. It's not a contest. For example, some people have lots of talents, yes, so they can help people in many ways. It's a good thing. Doesn't mean they're better. It just means they're capable of it, because we're all different. We all have our own vision. So, a Tiospaye, everybody benefits. There is no rich, there is no poor. There's just life and spirituality. Some social activists came up with a model of how to have a successful economy where no currency is involved. They were trying to create an alternative kind of community, which there's no currency and you work for food and so forth, and clothes and things that you need, but there's no money involved because you get it, but then you have to help others in something too. But you want to, because when you live this way, you have that community perspective, so you want to help others. So the community these social scientists came up with, it was really a nice village that they created. And the funny thing is, it looked pretty much like what I just described for you. Their model looked like a Tiospaye. The city that these guys came up with, like I said, it basically looked like a Tiospaye. The way it functioned. Everybody's important. Nobody's less important than anybody. This is the foundation of a Tiospaye. That's what our ancestors had, as I said in the beginning. Then through this Christian brainwashing experience of the late 1800s and early 1900s, that's when we became dualistic and we lost contact to our sacred center. So we don't know the customs anymore. That's sad. But like I said, when you're born in an ancient Lakota society, you learn from the beginning about being a community thinker, doing things for others, helping others when they need help. That is the Lakota Star Knowledge way, to help one another. without expecting thanks. And no currency involved. And that's the way we lived for hundreds of thousands of years until the churches came. And we were brainwashed into accepting Christianity. So coming up with a society that is basically functioning the same way as a Tiospaye is functioning. Things get done. People have food. People can gather or fish or whatever. It could be just a small group of people even. People who are only 3 feet tall. Hey. I'm just kidding. No. The Tiospaye way, there's no currency involved, but yet everybody's taken care of. And right away, dualistic people are saying, well, what you're describing is socialism, or what you're describing is... It doesn't matter. We don't have time to waste in trying to label it. So we have to use what we have to make a contribution to our group so that it functions and everybody benefits. Everybody's viewpoint is important. This is the Buffalo way. There's no intimidation involved. So the Tiospaye system, you learn your talent, you're taught by older people who have the same talent, and then you make your contribution to your society. And everybody benefits. Everybody's healthy. And that works. That is the Buffalo way.
To read more about Lakota Star Knowledge spirituality, you can read my book called Wichocha Otechike. You can see the book cover on the right side of this screen. This book contains the information to what I talk about on my Lakota spirituality videos. To purchase this book, please click below where it says Show More. Clicking on that link will open up the description below, and there you will see a link called To Purchase My Books. As you will see, it's an eBay link. Click on that eBay link, and there you will see the information to get this book. Lila Pila Mayelo. Thank you very much.